Hello everyone, welcome. This is the first episode of Solo Sportfisher. In this video you're going to see me launching single-handed, taking the 34 Riviera out by myself. So you'll see what I start with is killing the shore power. What I haven't shown you here is that I already started the onboard generator, so that way I have power running to everything organically with the onboard generator. Kill the shore power and I head on to disconnect that from the boat. Can't really see it on camera here, but when screwing in, basically that just pops right off. On the boat, big thing here is that the boat will be able to isolate the power between shore power and the generator on board. You just make sure you switch that and get everything running before you actually try to disconnect it. Make sure both things are off. Once I have that disconnected, usually what I do is I'll start to loosen up some lines and then tie off some extra lines to the dock. Fortunate enough for me, on my slip on the port side, left-hand side, I don't have any other neighbors. It's a longside dock on that portion. So what I can do is usually just utilizing the bumpers you see at the top of the screen, I can pull the boat closer to the dock and kind of tie it off there while I start to loosen the more permanent lines that I have on the transom. So I replace the line that keeps it off the dock from bumping into the dock and put this line on so that way I can affix the boat closer to the dock. It's a pretty easy day. It's not very windy. You can see I'm taking my time. It's pretty much like this all the time. Whenever you're tending to your boat like this, you want to take your time, do it correctly. If you rush, you end up making mistakes. So like I said, it's not a very windy day, so I take off the other transom spring line, the one that keeps me from bumping into my neighbor, and usually once I have all of these taken off, I take them together. Because it's not a very windy day, I chose not to attach the transom line to the dock to get the boat hugging against the dock. Normally I would, but I do have a midship cleat line that's tied to the boat. That's also a spring line, and you'll see that here in a second. So I start dealing with these lines, wrap them up, get it around the pilings so that way they're under control in a neat manner. And I also like to hang it in such a way that if it starts raining or anything like that, then it doesn't get any water in the actual plug itself. An important thing to note here is cleaning up your lines on the dock, making sure they're easy to use when you get back. So neatly laid, or as you see, if it's just thrown out like that, when you come back and you're trying to get everything tied off, it can make a mess. You might have these little knots that appear in them. So cleaning up the lines that you have on the dock makes it a lot easier for when you come back. So what I'm doing here is just kind of a loose loop, so that way I can just pick it up real easy and there's no knots. So you see the midship cleat there. And now I'm going to start dressing up the bow lines. Again, I like to loosen the ones that have me affixed to my neighbor, those first, and then worry about the ones that have me on the dock. You see there's a hook there that I can dress up the lines, pull the boat over, and then I just hang up the starboard bow line on that hook, and I can get to that when I come back and berth the boat. Now I'm taking this line off, throw that one just over, and then I'll dress it up when I get off the boat. I actually have these lines prepped up. As you can see, the one in the transom and the one in the midship cleat just hanging on the side of the boat. I have those prepped because I'm about to go refuel, and I like to have the lines ready so that way once I pull up to the fuel dock, all I have to do is just hand the line to the deckhand or to the person tending the fueling docks. In my case, I'm always running the boat by myself, so I tend to have to do this all myself. When I get to the fueling dock, I'll line the boat up and I'll get it on there, and I'll just tie myself to the dock myself. But you can see the way that I have my spring line done is it's a two-directional spring line. I have one going forward, and then with the excess, I have one going back. This is my main line that I use when docking the boat. It's the first thing I tie when I dock the boat, so I make sure that one's pretty secure and good, and then I dress up all the other ones once I'm all set. That one is not too standard. Don't do it like that. I don't know why I laid it like that. Normally I'm much better about cleaning it up. As you can see, when I dress up this line, I pull it through the handrail and then put it over, because once you get there, you don't want to be pulling it over the rail, because then you can end up breaking the rail. Before I board the boat, I line it up and kind of get it to the point where all I have to do is just get onto the boat, put her in forward idle, and just go straight out, rather than having to deal with trying to launch her one motor at a time and inch her out and trying to prevent bouncing off the pilings. I line it up, give myself a little bit of space, and as you can see, I pretty much go straight out. I flutter the transmissions ever so slightly at one point just to clear my transom, and then once I'm free, then I start to make my long and slow turn to head me toward the fuel dock. But that's pretty much it. Very easy process. The biggest point here that I can't reinforce enough is that when you're doing this, you always want to be calm, be patient, be nice and smooth about it. You don't have to rush. High winds just make it so that way you have to manage the lines a little bit better. And I can make another video later with high winds. Docking the boat the other day, I had a good 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, and it was an off dock wind to my port side, which meant it was pushing me into the starboard neighbor, and it made for quite the adventure. I did not get that on camera, but I will get something like that on camera in the future, so that way you can see what it's like. But that's all I have for this one. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave comments below.